4-3, we are multiplying. And 4-2, dimensions have to be the same to add or subtract. It is not the case for multiplication. So if you had two matrices, A is a 2 by 5, and B is a 5 by 4. Here's how you tell whether you can multiply those two matrices or not. Do they have the same dimensions? No, but it's still possible. What you have to do is write those dimensions. I would write them side by side like that. The middle two numbers have to be the same in order for you to be able to multiply those two. So are they in this case? Yes, so it's probably not. Maybe the best thing to do is just circle those two. Make sure those are the same, and if they are, the dimensions of your answer will be 2 by 4. So your final answer should be a 2 by 4 matrix. Okay? So that's how you do all those problems. Some problems will just want you to do that part. Just tell me what the dimensions would be if you did multiply. So again, the middle two numbers have to be the same, and if they are, then the outside two numbers are what your answer should be. So that next one on page 177 says A is a 1 by 3 and B is a 4 by 3. You can see very quickly those do not equal in the middle. So that one is undefined. You couldn't multiply those. Any questions on that? How do you determine? It's pretty simple. Either they are or they aren't. So past that, we'll go ahead and do a few of these multiplication problems. R equals 3, 2, negative 1, 0. S is negative 2, 1, 1, negative 1. Now once it's defined, RS, which means you would multiply R times S. So what's the dimensions of R? 2 by 2. Even though you can see those are the same, it's still a good idea to write that down and just double check every time. And it will also tell you the dimensions that your answer should be. So just for practice again, you can see the middle two numbers are the same. So your answer should be a 2 by 2. That's what you're looking for. So how then do we multiply the matrices? Again, I would open a parentheses up, and this one you probably do need to write. The addition one, what? You're going to multiply first 3 times negative 2. Then you're going to add, so we did 3 times negative 2. You're going to add 2 times 1. It's always add. So it's that top row times the first column. So 3 times negative 2 plus 2 times 1. This number right here will be the top left corner in your 2 by 2 answer. So we did the top row times column 1. Now we do the top row times column 2. So 3 times 1. So 3 times 1, and then 2 times negative 1. And it's always plus. Always put the plus in there. You have to make sure it's going to change to minus. You're going to end up, it's going to be plus negative 2 or minus 2. Just make sure whichever way you do that, you get that correct. And then you do the same thing with the bottom row. You take this row times this column, and the bottom row times the second column. So it would be negative 1 times negative 2 plus 0 times 1. And then the bottom row times this column. So negative 1 times 1 plus, what do we get for the last one? 0 times negative. And again, you're probably going to have to write this part, that step down. That's going to be pretty tough to do in your head, and probably more times than not, you'll end up getting it wrong if you don't. But as far as now this part goes, you don't have to simplify those down in another matrix and then get your answer. It's fine if you do, and probably a good thing if you do, but you don't have to. So this would become negative 6 plus 2, which is negative 4. This would become 3 minus 2, which is 1. This would be 2 plus 0, which is 2. And negative 1 plus 0, which is negative 1. So that would be your final 2 by 2 answer. So let's do the one right in the books on page 178. 5, 9, negative 3, negative 2. So that's a 2 by 2. And 2, negative 1, 6, negative 5. And we are multiplying those two together. So what's the first thing? Those of you who didn't quite get the first one, really try to focus in here and see what we're doing. So we're taking the top row, the 5 and the 9, times the first column, the 2 and the 6. So 5 times 2 would be your first one. 5 times 2 is always plus. And what would we be at? 9 times 6. So that takes care of row 1, column 1. Now we have to do row 1, column 2. So over here we would have 5 times negative 1 and plus what? 9 times negative 5. Notice these numbers are the same, the ones you're multiplying, because you're doing the same row. And it'll be the same for the next one. So now we're done. You could really cross off the 5 and the 9 if that would help you. You're done with those. You won't use those anymore in this problem. Now we're just focusing on this second row. So we do negative 3 times 2, negative 3 times 2, and then negative 2 times 6. And then negative 3 times negative 1. And this second number will be the same as well. The thing that's in parentheses and the second one, if we did 3 more rows of that, they would all be the same number. So for the top left, we'd get 10 plus, which is, so we would get 64. And what would we be doing over here on this one? -5 minus 45, which is -50. -6 minus 12, -18. And 3 plus 10.
So we got 65.
You have to get here.
Oh,
Yeah, that's your answer.